We do get into everything, including Donovan Mitchell's performance last night. 71 points, first player ever with 70 points and over 10 assists in a game. Second most total points, 99 points he was accounted for when you count points and assists. That's second all time to Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Wilt, by the way, this is what's shocking to me. He dropped 100. He only had 2 assists. He only had 2 assists in this game.
That is crazy. So
I didn't even realize that until I saw that stat
Donovan,
this morning.
So Donovan wasn't that far off from
having the most creating the most points ever in an NBA game. That's how iconic their performance was.
If it had gone to double
night.
overtime, he probably would have done it.
I don't even know. We spend the first 30 minutes of this conversation with Fred talking about this. What is happening in the NBA right now? Luka going crazy. Bron at 38, back-to-back 40 balls. Klay Thompson had 54 last night. Joel Embiid had the most casual 42-13 game ever against a really good team in the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
The level of high performance right now amongst NBA players is insane. And Donovan Mitchell, by the way, his performance I probably takes the cake. It's one of the greatest games of all time. Where do you think he ranks in terms of being a real MVP candidate?
I mean, he has to be in the conversation.
He's in the conversation.
He has to be in the conversation.
He's in the conversation.
I don't know. We have the odds, the DraftKings odds in front of us right now. I don't know necessarily that he is in the top 5 just because of how stacked the top 5 is. I mean, the other guy who's in this conversation besides Luka,
I'd say the top 7 are stacked.
And we talked. But the other guy that we have to talk about, we talked about a lot on Monday's episode, is KD, and how he just is. I mean, these guys are not losing.
I know, and so much of the MVP conversation is centered around how a team is playing, and because Luka carries such a high usage rate and is required to do so much creation, he's hovered at or near the top of the MVP odds since they opened. He started with the second, he tied for the best odds with Joel Embiid since the MVP odds opened back in May for this season. He's currently number 1. KD has moved now into the top 5. Tatum is second, Jokic third, Giannis fourth, Kevin Durant having an all-time season 5th, Joel Embiid 6th, Ja Morant 7th, then Donovan Mitchell, and then Zion and Steph. Both of those guys are hurt. Zion got hurt last night after having 26 on 10 of 12 shooting. What? This is just, it's incredible.
And Donovan started the season at plus 8,000.
Yep.
Now he's up to plus 2,800. I wanted to say before we get back to top 5 in Raptor right now.
Yes.
Joker, Luka, KD, Donovan has now joined the conversation.
You looked it up this morning.
Anthony Davis is still 5th. Yep. But Donovan was not in the conversation before last night in the top 5, and now he is. I have a question for you about this.
I just want to acknowledge something, Tommy. I'm so proud of you.
I look at it every day.
We started podcasting in 2020, January 2020. So it's been 3 years of podcasting together this month. And if you had told me 3 years ago that you'd be citing Raptor
every single
episode, and you do it all the time
every single day.
You're very comfortable. You realize you understand what defensive rating and offense. I'm so proud of you, man.
I think that
fucking awesome.
I think that it is helpful. I think that everyone who watches and listens to the show should pay attention to it. I have a question about a guy on this list.
Yeah.
Who I think is being undervalued a little bit, even though he is in the top 6 right now, and that's Joel.
Yeah.
Is that he's somebody, they are 8-2 in their last 10. We've talked about them. We talked about them last week about, since they've gotten healthy, and they're not fully healthy. Maxi's not back yet, but since they've gotten healthy, how this is a unit of a team, and we kind of don't know what their ceiling is. Not to say that he should be the front runner right now because we've talked about these other guys, but is this somebody that still feels undervalued in this conversation because he's having another incredible season? I mean, it
depends on how you look at betting, Tommy.
Yeah.
Because I would say that's a good value if you wanted to bet and you thought the Philadelphia 76ers were capable of being a top 2 seed in the East and Joel was going to continue this play because he's at plus 1,100 right now. Luka on the other side as the front runner is at a plus 260. We talk about this with Fred, and you guys will hear that conversation in a second. I think so much of MVP should be tied to winning. Jokic last year, Westbrook when he won in OKC, both of those teams were 6th place. But generally speaking, you need to be in that sort of top 2 to 3 range. And if one team clearly pulls away, as was the case in, let's say, 2015 with the Warriors, Steph's numbers weren't crazy like they are now, or weren't crazy like they were in 2016 when he won his second one. I think that there's a case. The problem with this year, there's so many guys putting up insane numbers. So I think as we get down to the end, a lot of these odds will shift a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's so much parity, and teams are going to go on winning streaks, losing streaks, whatever it may be. So yeah, I mean, do I think Donovan Mitchell has a real chance? Probably not. Joel has a real chance. Kevin Durant has a real chance. I think John Moran has a real chance. If it weren't for injuries, Zion and Steph would have real chances. And then the other guys, Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, Durant, like they're front runners for sure.
Do you think voters are affected at all by specific high profile flashy moments? So like Luka's 60, not just the 60, 21 and 10, but how they won that game. Is that the kind of thing that will be seared in their brain, or they're just more looking at the overall landscape of the numbers?
It's a good question, Tommy. I think because there's 82 games and not 12, it doesn't. I remember growing up and always hearing about the Heisman and like having a Heisman moment.
Yeah.
A big game.
Like a 400
in
yard
week 9, whatever. Yeah, whatever it may be. Like, I don't think they're necessarily swayed by that. I will say that I think that's what Joel didn't necessarily have last year, was like multiple MVP moments late in the season, because it was so close last year.
Yeah.
And there's already been so many early MVP moments from all these guys.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, is it keeps happening.
Yes.
Like Joel's already had like 3 of them this year, and then it just keeps getting one up.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the next 3 weeks are going to look like.
And we get into the why these moments keep happening with our guest this week, Fred VanVleet. When I throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings Friday Night Favorites. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app using code JJ, opt in, and place a 2-leg pregame moneyline parlay, and you'll get a 50% profit boost. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JJ. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.